Bleacher Report came out with the biggest X factors for the Browns team in 2021. And I got this one in the pre-show meeting. I nailed this one. I don't often do that. They go with Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, and I would say this. When it comes to Clowney, Clowney's a pretty easy answer. I would say that. I think he's one that, obviously stands out. If you're looking for another option, I would probably also say Odell, I think, is somebody who can really be a standout. But when it comes to Clowney, you look at the production that you saw from Olivier Vernon last year. He was able to get down that stretch when Myles Garrett was down with COVID. You saw him be able to capitalize, be able to give that production that, was severely lacking at that point. When you're missing a Myles Garrett, you want to talk about a Superman. That's Myles Garrett to a T. So, you get that production out of Olivier Vernon. If Clowney can go ahead and give you that production in the pass rush, that's a cherry on top. He's known as a pass rusher for sure off the edge, but he's mainly an edge rusher a run stopper, I should say. He does very well at stopping the run on the outside, but if he gives you that pass rush that, you haven't quite seen to this point in his career, I think that's the cherry on top, and that can take this defense from good or great to elite.
I would agree, and I wouldn't necessarily get caught up in sack totals with Clowney. You want him to be disruptive, and that's kind of what his MO's been, and he gets kind of beat up a little bit nationally because he doesn't have the sack totals. He was a high draft pick. If he is disrupting and allowing Malik Jackson and Myles Garrett to get the sacks, money well spent.
Right. And that's the whole point of this is that, you have those guys on the back end, too, that are covering those players. If you go ahead and, if you're able to cover 3 to 4 seconds at that point, that should be more than enough time for Myles Garrett or Clowney based on just their sheer athleticism to be able to close that pocket. And then at that point, like you mentioned, Malik Jackson, you have Jordan Elliott last year, they took in round 3, who they're very high on going into this year. So all of a sudden, then you get that interior pressure. And now you're just slowly but surely moving down that internal time clock for those opposing quarterbacks and really starting to rush that offense at that point.